Army Director General, retired Brigadier Ian Langford. Ian, great to have your expertise with us. How hard is it to actually confirm whether those images are what the Iranian media is saying it is?
Well, given the amount of misinformation that Iran and its media agencies are employing to include, supposed hits on US carrier strike groups, which were clearly false yesterday, I think it's probably wise on the part of everyone to wait until the US military accounts for its inventory and can confirm this incident one way or another. The downing of a jet, whilst unfortunate always, is not necessarily significant in the sense of the overall campaign, but nonetheless, it's a propaganda attempt on the part of the Iranians to achieve a victory where potentially there isn't one. So probably prudent in the first instance to wait until the US Navy or the US Department of War confirms it or otherwise. But let's focus on not trusting anything the Iranians say and allowing the facts to reveal themselves before we make assumptions and go forward from there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a regime that's even talked about storing bodies that they themselves have killed so that they can wheel them out and say, look what the Israelis have done, look how many people they've killed in this house or this school or hospital. I mean, so you've got to be so careful. I'm sure the US, if that's real, will let us know reasonably quickly. What did you make of the military strategy? We've been told that within 3 days they have hit more than 1,000 Iranian targets. With your great experience, how successful do you believe this has been?
Well, I think this latest campaign on the part of the Americans and the Israelis really follows the earlier 12-day war. It's probably fair to say that Iranian air defence systems have been utterly destroyed and their integrated air and missile defence system is no longer functional. It's probably reasonable to say that most of their command and control system has been temporarily, if not permanently, disabled, to include obviously the decapitation operations against key leadership and key military command and control centres. And now we're seeing really the US and Israeli air power systems consolidate control across the skies of Iran to now deal with some of those remaining threats as it relates to long-range strike missiles that we're seeing coming out of Iran and targeting states across the Gulf and as far as Cyprus, which obviously impact the British and their bases there. So we're seeing the decapitation of leadership, the destruction of their command and control centres, the end of their air defence system, and now a consolidation on the part of the Americans to, really confirm air control over Iran to then eliminate that missile threat, which is still threatening surrounding states.
I've heard this comment a few times today, Ian, where people ask, is it possible to create regime change from the air? I mean, you and I were around when Iraq happened, and obviously that required American troops on the ground. Can you do it from the air alone?
Not classically, no. And we've got examples from recent conflict. If you consider the 93-day air campaign over Bosnia and the former Yugoslavia in the 90s, which was followed by a 3-day ground war. If you consider the US air campaign in the first Gulf War, which was followed essentially by a ground conflict which lasted 96 hours. For regime change to be absolute, there needs to be a change in presence in terms of a security provider being replaced by another. And in the context of the current situation, you've got the Quds Force and other security elements in their hundreds of thousands that still to some degree have control on the ground. And there now needs to be an alternate security provider or an alternate form of government. If, it is true and many members of the Quds Force, for example, want to surrender, the question is, who do they surrender to? What is their viable sort of way out as opposed to doubling down and fighting to the bitter end? So a regime change really can't occur in an absolute sense unless there's an alternate security provider on the ground. Air control is essential to doing that. I suspect that the Americans and to some degree the Israelis have a plan for this. And those opposition forces, I would estimate, would be getting organised now in Iran to provide an alternate for the remaining security forces and those that seek to cling to power to either be deposed by or for the great masses of Iran to switch their support to.
Just finally, is Israel capable of going in with troops on the ground? Is that what you're hinting at, perhaps?
No, not at all. And again, I mean, given the population of Iran, over 90 million people, and the need for regime change to provide the kind of security and essential services that civilian populations need to be able to believe in alternate forms of government, this will have to come from within. This will need to be an Iranian-led opposition movement that will oust the mullahs and this regime and be replaced temporarily by an alternate security provider. The alternate to that is civil war, where we'll see a power struggle between current and emerging key security providers, in which case the entire region will remain unstable and the consequences will last into the months and years. So let's hope the Iranians are able to effectively rise up against the leftover elements of the regime, provide an alternate form of government, and then see a new Iran emerge as a result.
Great to catch up with you, Ian. Thank you very much for that. And Ian's quite right to point out there, I mean, you've got to remind yourselves there's 90 million people in Iran.